7 years ago, my family walked away from me without looking back. They never called. They never asked if I was alive. They erased me from their lives as if I'd never existed. Then the only person who stood beside me, my best friend, passed away and left me something I never expected: a beautiful lakefront lodge. The day my family found out what I'd inherited, they showed up smiling, acting like nothing had happened. My son-in-law looked around the property and said confidently, "We'll take the main house. You can stay in the bunkhouse out back." They believed I'd stay silent, like I always had. They had no idea the lodge was protected by one decision my best friend had made before he died. When I calmly said 3 words, every smile disappeared. 7 years earlier, my life fell apart. After losing my job and going through serious financial struggles, my own family decided I was no longer worth their time. Invitations stopped. Phone calls ended. Birthdays passed without a message. Eventually, they moved on with their lives while pretending I no longer existed. The only person who stayed was my lifelong best friend, Daniel. We'd known each other since we were teenagers. He never judged me for my failures. Instead, he reminded me that a person's value is measured by character, not money. Daniel owned a peaceful lakefront lodge that had been in his family for decades. Not a luxury mansion, but beautiful. Every weekend, we repaired broken furniture, painted old walls, cleaned the docks, welcomed guests together. Those days gave me hope when I had almost lost everything. Then one morning, Daniel got terrible medical news. His illness progressed quickly. During his final months, he asked me to promise I'd protect the lodge because it represented years of memories and hard work. I gave him my word. A few weeks after he passed, his attorney called. Daniel had left the entire lodge to me, along with a handwritten letter thanking me for standing beside him when everyone else disappeared. I could barely believe it. I cried reading his final words. The lodge wasn't just property. It was proof that loyalty and kindness still mattered. For several months, I quietly managed the lodge, renovated rooms, improved the gardens, welcomed visitors, slowly rebuilt my life. Business improved every season. Guests came back with positive reviews. The lodge became successful again. Then, one afternoon, a black SUV pulled into the driveway. Out stepped my daughter, my son-in-law, and several relatives I hadn't seen in 7 years. They walked across the property like they belonged there. My daughter smiled awkwardly and said they wanted to reconnect, because family should always stay together. Before I could answer, my son-in-law cut in. He looked at the main lodge, then pointed toward the smaller guest cabin. He laughed. "We've already decided. We'll take the main house. You can live in the bunkhouse out back. It's more than enough for one person." The rest of the family nodded like the decision had already been made. Not one of them apologized for abandoning me. Not one asked how I'd survived those 7 lonely years. All they cared about was what they believed I now owned. Instead of arguing, I calmly invited everyone inside. They walked through every room, discussing renovations, furniture, debating which bedroom each person wanted. When they finally finished, my son-in-law looked at me. "We should start moving in next weekend." I smiled politely. Then I said 3 quiet words. "Read the trust." The room went completely silent. My daughter looked confused. The attorney, who'd arrived only minutes earlier, placed several documents on the dining table. Daniel had created an ironclad family trust before his death. It clearly stated that no relative by marriage or later arriving inheritor could claim ownership. The property could never be transferred under family pressure, and anyone attempting to force possession would immediately lose every possible claim. The attorney explained the lodge belonged only to the trustee, according to Daniel's wishes. My son-in-law flipped through page after page, hoping to find a loophole. There was none. For the first time, nobody had anything to say. My daughter quietly admitted they'd assumed I would simply hand over the property because I was alone. I looked at her and said calmly, "You left me alone 7 years ago. Today, you remembered I existed." One by one, they walked toward the door without another argument. The driveway that had been filled with confidence only minutes earlier stood completely empty. As the sun set across the lake, I sat on the old wooden dock, holding Daniel's final letter. He had protected not only the property, but my dignity. That day I understood something I'll never forget. Real family isn't always connected by blood. Sometimes it's the person who never leaves when everyone else does. Greed may open a door, but integrity decides who gets to stay inside. My family came back because they saw value in a building. My best friend saw value in me long before there was anything to inherit. The greatest inheritance was never the lakefront lodge. It was the lesson that loyalty outlives wealth, and true character reveals itself when nobody expects a reward.